Yesterday's prophecies, today's headlines. This is the Hal Lindsey Report. And now, Hal Lindsey.
Good evening and welcome to the Hal Lindsey Report. And today we're launching into some interesting twists in our new government, and we hope that some of these things that are kind of difficult to follow will be understood, because I think that our future really depends on it.
We will not scare the American.
White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel recently remarked, "You never want to let a serious crisis go to waste." And what I mean by that is an opportunity to do things you think you could not do before. In a nutshell, Emanuel described a philosophy advanced by one of the fathers of the Enlightenment, George Hegel. Students of Hegel labeled his three-part theory the Hegelian dialectic. Students of Karl Marx call it management by crisis, and it was adopted as a centerpiece of communism. Under Hegel's theory, one type of government or society gives rise to another that is the opposite of this type of government or society. This results in conflict between the two types. He called it the thesis and antithesis, since they are opposites. After thesis and antithesis, ideas battle each other for an extended time without either side winning. Both sides become ready for change. This change, or synthesis, is then brought about by the creation of a third type of government or society. Broken down into its component steps, here's how Hegel's principle works. Step one, create a problem or conflict. Practitioners will either identify a potential problem or create one out of thin air, then exaggerate it beyond its actual importance. While nobody doubts that the economy is in trouble, on Election Day, the Dow Jones was still above 9,000. Since then, even former President Bill Clinton has called on President Obama to stop talking down the economy. Step two, publicize the problem and create opposition to it. The left in America has a tailor-made apparatus for publicizing the problem and creating opposition among the population, the mainstream media. By constantly covering the problem from the administration's desired slant, the media makes the conflict a foregone conclusion. Eventually, the public begins to clamor for a solution to this problem. The steady drumbeat from the White House is, "We inherited this problem from the high-spending, low-tax Bush administration. The only way to fix it is to increase spending tenfold and raise taxes." In reality, the stimulus bill stimulates nothing but more government spending. It's not stimulating the economy. President Obama has proposed spending more money in the first 6 weeks of his term than President Bush spent on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the general war on terror, and Hurricane Katrina over a period of 7 years. According to the Office of Management and Budget, the Bush deficit for 2008 was a comparatively paltry $410 billion. The current administration is now projecting an annual deficit well over $1 trillion in the near future. Obama has committed to more deficit spending than any nation in the history of the world. Over the next 3 years, the government will need to borrow $3.6 trillion. But very few dare to question or oppose anything because of the crisis. Step three, offer a solution. Of course, in today's America, with its soundbite mentality, the simpler the solution, the better. And there's no need for it to be logical. The best ones are those that appeal to the emotions and make the public feel that something really good is being done for them, when in reality, something really bad is being done to them, especially when it's a solution no one knew we needed before the conditioning process of the step two. And when you're talking numbers like these, no one can actually comprehend their magnitude. It's like we've entered a surreal world. Solving the current crisis would rob the administration of its greatest asset. The Democrats have been pushing universal health care since 1993, but it has always been wisely rejected because it would be too expensive. Further, as much as we want it to be, government-controlled universal health care doesn't work. Just ask the British or the Canadians. But thanks to the media-magnified worst economic crisis since the 1930s, universal health care was sneaked into the stimulus bill without even a debate. Our current hyped-up crisis has also allowed billions for environmental spending, billions more for trade unions, cap-and-trade schemes, and the list goes on ad nauseum. Most of these long-term favorite liberal projects have nothing to do with stimulating the economy. It's self-serving pork by any other name. 20 years ago, no politician in America would dare to confess the use of Hegelian tactics to manipulate public opinion. They'd employ them without hesitation, but they would never admit it. But last week in Brussels, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton echoed Rahm Emanuel. She told the European Parliament,
never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact on climate change and energy security, and that's what we're trying to do.
Hegel couldn't have said it better. To Obama's cabinet, a financial crisis is not for solving. It's for manipulating to achieve a desired goal. So the average guy gets hurt a little. He'll get over it. After all, the proletariat feels it must be for its own good.